late night conversations. Play nice, hallucinate your love. Give me something stronger than your lips, holding on to more than I'll admit. Sleepwalking through the night if it keeps me from waking up. Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my dreams. Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my dreams. Why do I still see you in my dreams? In daylight, I barely see your name. When the city sleeps, you flow right through my veins. Give me something stronger than your lips, holding on to more than I'll admit. Sleepwalking through the night if it keeps me from waking up. Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my dreams. Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my Why do I still see you in my dreams? In my dreams. Why do I still see you in my dreams? Why do I still see you in my Why do I still see you in my Why do I still see you in my
Let's get a few facts straight, shall we?
they're gonna be sorry they were ever born. All of them.
Alrighty, good morning. It's so good to be back. Hope you guys are doing well and enjoying the pumps and markets. And hopefully you made a little bit of money, or worst case scenario, got out of some bags that you were desperate to get out of. I know there was a lot of people in that situation holding shit for the past 3 months. And, you know, hopefully some of these relief rallies allowed you to reposition potentially into coins that you have more faith in. That's a big opportunity on the horizon right now for some people in that unfortunate boat. But other than that, if you guys have been watching my streams, I remember telling you guys somewhere down here, one of these streams coming in, let's actually go to the high time frame and we'll come back to that. I wish I remember the exact weeks, but I was basically saying to you guys, there's a light bulb moment going off. I know some of the stream watchers remember me saying that this is one of those light bulb going off moments, right? If we're so fucking bearish on the S&P 500, if we're so bearish in global markets, why is Bitcoin holding our projected range low? And in that dynamic, a lot of people were being lazy and saying, you know, we're just lagging. When if you look at the data, if you look at the way this cycle went, Bitcoin has shown relative strength numerous times at the lows when the S&P 500 was selling off lower. We even did that in 2022. So it's a common dynamic in these markets for Bitcoin to sell off first, sell off hard, and then kind of just crab around waiting for the S&P 500 to finish its correction. So once again, we've seen the same signs. Once again, you know, we were kind of prepared for it. If you guys, you know, were watching my stream during this time, I think you guys are on the same page as me, and I explained my thought process throughout this entire kind of drawdown and experience. We'll go over to altcoins a little bit later, talk about the accumulation ranges that are forming. Kind of been a broken record on that front too, that, you know, in these accumulation ranges, you're going to be in bearish market structure. You're going to be underneath your daily trend. Eventually, you're going to break your daily. You're going to gap to your weekly. At the weekly trend, you'll probably get rejected, and that'll be kind of your range high and the point to break out of down the line. Just skipping forward, the immediate thought that I want to let you guys, you know, I'm just going to start off with the stream, and then I'll explain my thought process a little bit later. Anytime we want to break out on Bitcoin, there needs to be a reason. Always remember that. There needs to be a reason to break out. There needs to be a thesis, a spark, a narrative, a catalyst. There needs to be some reason that the guy who is reluctant to buy buys, right? There needs to be a reason for the guy that is willfully buying the top or buying price discovery to say, it's okay, we're going higher because X, Y, and Z. Bitcoin doesn't just mark up for no reason. It doesn't just mark up for fun. It doesn't just say, hey, okay, we're at 108K, time to go to 150, right? It's never done that, and it doesn't do that. So what is the market missing at this moment? It's missing a spark. It's missing a narrative. It's missing a catalyst. It's missing a reason to go to infinity and beyond, right? If you guys were watching my streams last summer in, you know, this 8-month range, how many times did you guys hear me saying the same thing? All the way back in here, back in here, back in here, I was saying we're missing a spark. We're missing a spark. And I kept on proposing to you guys, I don't know what that spark is, but maybe it's Trump being the president. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's enough. And as we got closer and closer, I think he got shot somewhere in here, and that was where that narrative started picking up. The Bitcoin conference was somewhere around here, and he said, look, you know, like, I'm going to make an SBR, right? So that narrative started growing and growing mind share. People's minds were going like, oh, look, if Trump really gets elected, this could be really bullish for us. And when the election happened, we saw that the polling was coming in hour by hour or whatever, and Trump was in the lead, and people were underexposed to that narrative. And that's where you saw this markup occur. At the moment, crypto is missing that. Now, if I want to speculate on what it could potentially be, I would say maybe it's SBR. Maybe it's a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Maybe it's no crypto capital gains taxes. Maybe some of that stuff gets passed. Maybe, you know, they sell some gold and buy some. Who knows, right? Who knows? But Trump has been a controversial president so far, to say the least. It's not like he was, I mean, he was pretty controversial this time. But as far as crypto specifically goes, I think he's like made good on his promises so far, right? What have been his promises? Like, he's going to clear up regulation. He's in the process of doing that. He's going to fire Gary Gensler. That happened. Get a new, you know, SEC commissioner. Get a new crypto-centric people on his, like, you know, inner circle. All of this stuff is kind of happening. Even little things like, you know, release or pardon Ross, right? Ross got released. I don't know if you guys know that whole story from Silk Road, but so if he's saying SBR, right, whether or not that happens, as long as he keeps saying it, maybe every month, maybe every quarter, whatever, I think participants in the market will position for it. So we haven't heard anything about that right now. Obviously, the tariff stuff is you know, dominating the news. Eventually, that'll calm down. Eventually, the markets won't really care about that anymore, right? Even if they get better or they get worse, it'll just kind of be priced in. And then the markets will look for something new, and it'll look for something new to attach to. And if we get some kind of bullish positivity around SBR, that could be our catalyst to break to new all-time highs. But I simply don't think we're there yet. I think there was a really good, really obvious trade to take at the, you know, at the range lows at 70s, and I took that twice. One at the first test and one down here, which, you know, was kind of uncomfortable, if I'm being honest. This was very hard to hold for me. But up here is not a place where I want to chase. Up here, when we're getting back into the average price of this range, this is not a discount anymore. In fact, it's very slight premium, but it's more so just average price, right? This doesn't feel like I'm getting a good deal. Anything in the bottom half of the range is going to feel like a discount. So I'll be looking for opportunities. I know this is a long-winded spiel to open up the stream, but just wanted to kind of lay the foundation for what we're going to talk about today, because I didn't stream last week either, right? So any kind of pullbacks down into the weekly trend, down in the daily trend, down to this flat bottom open on the weekly, and then if we look at the weekly charts, down into the weekly breaker, right? So one difference between last summer and this summer is last summer we had a very clean downtrend, right? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We had that here a little bit, big breakdown. Lower high, lower low, we have a higher high. So if this is structurally going to be God mode, and we're just going to go up only, and there's not going to be more ranging, and we're not going to be stuck here for another 6-8 months or whatever that's going to be, I would still, at the very least, expect a tap of this region before we went up only. So the most bullish case that I can see, the most bullish case still comes from lower. It does not mean that I have to max expose myself up here and chase this market, which is, I think, going to be the number one question on everyone's minds is, I'm underexposed, what do I do? And I'm just telling you personally, I'm not going to be the one yet chasing here. And I'll be wrong on this thesis if we suddenly get news, we suddenly get a spark, we suddenly get a reason, a catalyst, a narrative, and Bitcoin is just like basically trending on the daily trend. If we start doing that, I'll be incorrect in my thesis and I will adjust. But I don't have that yet. So that's where I'm going to stop. Let's get caught up with chat. See what you guys are talking about. Yeah, a bunch of good mornings. Missed you guys. And I hope you guys have been doing well. I heard Doc's going to pitch us some low cap gems. Psych. It's never going to happen. No Dubai? No, I don't go to any of the crypto conferences. I don't do any of that stuff. I meet people from crypto from time to time, people that I'm like close with and know online and stuff like that. But I don't do the crypto conferences. To be honest, like I don't know what I'm gonna do there. Am I gonna listen to people lecture about tech in crypto? Like, the only reason to go there would be to meet people from the industry, right? And I can do that outside of the conferences, so we just bypass the conference thing entirely. Why would I ever go there? To me, it just seems cringe. Like, I don't want to listen to lectures on, like, Ethereum's new upgrade or whatever the fuck it's going to be, right? I don't care. NEIRO ETH, bro. My short entry is this show. I'll look. Remind me in a bit when I'll be looking at altcoin charts. Let me get caught up with chat, and I'll come back to this in a minute. Morning, Doc got me feeling like a Zoomer. You always say Zoomer, and it makes no sense to me because I don't think Zoomers listen to this type of music. I feel like boomers listen to this if anything now, right? It's like my generation. I'm 30, so like when I was 18, it was you know, drum and bass and dubstep and EDM and house and fucking rave music. But I don't know if people listen to that anymore. Who knows? I'm curious what the outlook is for this week. So if you want me to predict this week, sure. I can. We'll talk about some lower time frame stuff. Will there be a correction as it's the end of the month? I suppose many will be taking profit to pay the bills. I don't know about that. I think that's. I mean, maybe someone. I don't know if that's enough to like change the structural flows in markets. Someone's like, I gotta pay my electricity. I got a mortgage to pay. It's time for me to take profits. Maybe. That's not how I see it. So I don't have any like thesis around end of month kind of flow changes and stuff like that. That's not how I make my plans. Simple if then plans. I've told you guys, I mean, I've tweeted about this, but where is Bitcoin trading right now? Why are we kind of crabbing here? This was our composite value buildup from February, right? So let's get rid of the trends for a minute. This was what, 3 weeks of low volatility crab in February. Pretty much we opened up, we sat in this range, and then we had our big breakdown when we kind of accepted outside of this range. Big, massive breakdown. We're coming up into this region. We're rejecting this region so far. If Bitcoin can get above, which would be like 95K, and hold above here. I did a little doodle last week. I don't know if you guys saw this, but if we get above here and we start holding in this region, I think we're going to easily gap to 98K, right? That would be the high side target for me. So it's an if-then plan. Like all of my plans are. They're never predictions and stuff like that. Like, you know, I go against the crowd maybe once, twice a year at max, right? These are those big moments where I try to do that. Everything else becomes pretty systematic and disciplined. So if-then plan, if we're going to get continuation, it's going to be up here. If we want to buy the dip, it's going to be within the context of the 4-hour trend. At the moment, the 4-hour trend. Oh, the screen's frozen? Hold on, guys. Properties, refresh capture. Are we good? We're good. I wish you guys told me that earlier, or maybe you did. I just didn't get caught up with chat. My bad, boys. All right. So let's recap right here. Three-week composite value buildup on Bitcoin in February. Big breakdown. We're trading into this region right now. If we get above it, we get inside this value, I think we can trade to the other side, which would be around 98K. That's how I see Bitcoin at the moment, exactly where price is. Where we are on high time frame, mid-range, yearly open, literally not trading at a discount, not trading at a premium, at exact fair value. I don't see the benefit of trading this. Let me go back a little bit because I remember, you know, showing you guys a little bit about the weekly breaker. So here we go. Here's the weekly breaker. This is where I think Bitcoin's going to drop into at some point. I'll be invalidated on this thesis, which I said a little bit earlier. If we start holding above the daily trend, we're crabbing above the daily trend. Hold on, let me pull this up for you guys, which is the blue one right here. If we start holding at a premium, holding above the daily trend, and we have a narrative / catalyst, that's where I'll flip my plans and say, okay, maybe we're a little bit more bullish than I originally thought. My invalidation on that trend continuation or kind of breakout thesis would be on the daily trend basis. Once we lose the daily trend, if that range highs are right here, I will stop being bullish. We're going to need a narrative, a catalyst, and a spark. And at the base case right now where price is, I see us dropping back below 90K at some point. I don't think this is just going to crab from here and go up only. Even if we get one more push to 98K, even if we push to here, I still think the process of going to new all-time highs still comes from a pullback lower. That's my base case, right? Let me take you guys back real quick to earlier this cycle. The only time where we had a God candle from range low to range high was down here. Where did it go? The only time we had a move with no pullbacks from range low to range high was right here. Do you guys remember why this happened? It was because Larry Fink announced that he's going to apply for a Bitcoin ETF. It didn't happen on its own. It didn't happen just for funsies. It didn't happen just to piss people off. It was literally a narrative-fueled rally, right? Again, what is the narrative in markets right now? There is none. There is none. Maybe we're creating some of like, oh, Bitcoin doesn't get tariffed. Bitcoin is a tariff hedge. Yeah, maybe that's for some people see it that way. That's not a global driving narrative, though. That's not something that everyone in the world is kind of agreeing with. Things that everyone agree with is, hey, ETFs are going live, boomers are coming to buy our bags, or Trump is good for crypto, right? Those are the moments that are really, really bullish for a market as a whole. So I've moved a little bit back and forth because the screen was frozen. I should have kept up with chat. I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay. Where are we? So I already described this and where we are right now. If we want to keep marking up, I believe that the opportunity comes from the 4-hour trend. So if you're bullish from here and you think we're going to break above 95K, the opportunity will come from the 4-hour trend. These pullbacks into the 4-hour trend are opportunities to get long, to play trend continuation. Obvious take profits on a microscopic base or like intraday basis is going to be February value area low. Acceptance above February value area low takes you to February value area high. But that all starts from the 4-hour trend. So if you're bullish, these are opportunities right now to play trend continuation. All right. You saying it closed it and gone $2,000. I don't know what that means. Oh, your trade on NEIRO? Brother, I mean, what do you want from me? You're taking a trade, you're underwater in your trade, you're coming to me like, what do I do with my trade? I said, wait a few minutes, I'll look, and you lost $2,000. That's on you, bro. That's not on me. Global liquidity is your spark. I hear things about that. I don't know. You know, I don't have any strong thoughts on that. I think that's been a background narrative for the last few years. Some smarter than, more intelligent people than me have theses around global liquidity. I do not. Obviously, if that is going to be the sole reason for us to break out, not any other narrative or news or spark or catalyst, you'll see it play out in the charts, right? You'll see trends continue to trend. You'll see daily trends hold. You will see altcoins break out of accumulation ranges. And then we can maybe just make something up, right? We'll just make something up to get the animal spirits flowing, but it'll start with the charts once again. The failed physician yet again, LARPing about nailing every move. Keep it up, buddy. That was tough, bro. You came in hot with that. That was tough. Do you feel good? Do you feel good about knocking that one out the park? You came in hot in the chat. LARPing about making your room. Hey man, I'm living well. I am nailing the moves. I'm sorry that pisses you off. But yeah, have a good one. Thanks for the views though. The tariff drama nuked us down. Maybe the tariff situation getting resolved will give us an impulse up. I mean, we did have some like, you know, loose headlines with China and, you know, the tariff stuff. I know I tried not to pay attention to it, but I've heard like, oh, maybe they're in talks, maybe this, maybe that, right? It's natural to happen. The thesis came from SPX, first of all, right? So if we're going to bounce at all on SPX, it's going to come from the weekly trend, which has been the trend that's been most dominant for the last like 10 years, right? Take a look at this. Actually, it's cleaner on this because, yeah, there you go. Right, so this is the location where we're down 22% from the highs, I believe. Make sure, fact check. 21.3% from the highs. Down into the weekly trend, retesting prior all-time highs. We're gonna get a bounce from here, right? Most likely we're gonna get a bounce from here. Bitcoin at range lows, the SPX selling off 22% into the weekly trend, which has held us, you know, like I said, for like a decade. Is it really tariffs? Is it the chart? Is it tariffs? Is it the sell-off? Is it mechanical? You can argue about this all you want. But yeah, as far as I think tariffs clearing up is not going to be a catalyst to spark to new highs, but it will be like relief, right? It will be like, okay, we don't need to panic and sell off as much. People will buy their bags back, but usually you need new narratives to drive price. The S&P 500 may not need that because it gets, you know, it gets flows daily. People are already buying it all the time for their retirement funds and everything like that. So there's no real need. It's not a speculative market. It's you know, it's driven by real flows, whereas crypto is more speculative. Doc, do you think in terms of risk to reward, I find when I try to catch a trade like the 75K bottom, it might take me a few tries. So even if I catch a 3-hour trade at the end, I end up break even. I have a nuanced answer for you. So thinking in risk to reward is basically just trying to take a trade where you're like, okay, my stop loss is closer and my take profit is farther. But if there's no reason, like you can just place this tool anywhere you want anytime and just adjust it to 3R. Every trade should come with a thought-based thesis behind it of why am I incorrect here, right? What is telling me that I'm incorrect here? And try not to place your stop losses at someone else's entry, right? So like a thing that people will try to do or do sometimes is there's a downtrend, right? There's a downtrend like this. And every time, you know, we're pulling back, you may long here and place your stop right there and you get stop run and then price bounces higher and then you do the same thing. So yes, you are taking these risk to reward 3R trades, but is it a good trade? That's what you need to be asking yourself, right? Like you're getting a 3R trade if you're successful, but is the thesis of this trade setup valuable or not? That's something that should go in your mind. So let me come back to your question. I find when I try to catch a trade like the 75K bottom, it might take me a free try. So even if I catch a 3-hour trade, I end up break even. Yeah. So again, there needs to be a thesis behind the trade of why you're taking that trade, what your invalidation is. And sometimes you're going to get a 4R trade. Sometimes you're going to get a 2R trade. But the idea of why you're taking the trade is as important as getting a good entry and saying my RR is good. I honestly think that this tool on charts is not that useful. It's just there for like beginners to kind of understand their risk parameters when entering a trade. But this is not like an effective like actual tool that you need to be looking at when taking trades. You just ask yourself, where am I wrong? Why am I wrong? And make sure that your invalidation doesn't become someone else's entry. Yeah, sorry guys. I saw like 50 guys saying the same thing about the stream. Apologize. Can you point to how we can buy Bitcoin ETFs? Is an exchange or has to be a broker? Any good one for Europe? I think international brokers, IBKR, I think that's something that you can get an account in no matter where you live. IBKR. Or TD Ameritrade. I think these are international. So you can look that up and see if it's available in the part of the world that you live in. And then all you got to do is buy IBIT. That's the ticker for the Bitcoin ETF. That's right. Where is it? This is IBIT. Thoughts on Sailor Infinite Bid not being infinite anymore? Yeah, like, you know, with the Sailor thing, he's obviously been the driving force in markets as of recent, actually, as of a lot of the markets. You saw what happened when he had his like blackout period. When was that? I think it was end of January into early March. This was the Sailor blackout period, I believe. Like, he couldn't buy during this time. So we had no buy pressure. A lot of this could be, you know, aided by a lot of the Sailor buys. Who knows? It's hard to like completely ascertain how much of the market buy pressure was Sailor and how much of it was other people. Obviously, he's a big contributor because he's taking supply off the market. He's not looking to buy and then sell again, which is interesting, right? So he's just removing sellers from the market and decreasing supply in the market. But you said not being infinite anymore. Now, I don't have any knowledge on that, so I don't know if there's something that changed that would not allow him to buy ever again, or he's running out of money, or, you know, the people that are, the way that he's structuring it by like offering stock and offering whatever, is that no longer a case for him anymore? I'm not really sure, man, so I can't comment on that. Would love thoughts on the difference between coins like FARTCOIN and SUI and where those reaccumulation zones would be. Well, let me just tell you right off the bat, FARTCOIN is not in an accumulation range. FARTCOIN is just like in an uptrend. It's above the daily, it's above the weekly, it's in bullish daily market structure. This thing ripped, right? If there was an accumulation range to form, it would be going sideways, not be uptrending. So, yeah. Tough to call this one accumulation range. I would just say look for pullbacks. So let's get a little bit more history. There we go. For something like FARTCOIN, it's as simple as, to me, like, if you want to bet on trend continuation, if you think this asset's going to keep continuing, doesn't care about Bitcoin, is strong for whatever reason, you simply just keep buying the SR flips into the trends, right? So daily trend right here, I actually had bids at 92 this weekend that I got front run on. Shout out Mex. I think he like nailed the Pico bottom of this on Saturday night. I placed bids at 92 right at daily demand, daily trend. Didn't get filled and this thing ripped. But it's as simple as playing trend continuation, right? High time frame trends are up, high time frame market structure is up. Continue to play trend continuation if you want to chase this one. I currently don't have any FARTCOIN, and I would be looking to buy some if it can get it like between 40 to 70. All right, anything in here would be an opportunity to restack, right? It would be the end of this uptrend. Any kind of high time frame pullback into this region would be an opportunity to buy again for whatever reason, right? The reason I would say buying this based on price and valuation instead of like strictly within the context of an uptrend is simply because the market deemed this one a winner. It's the coin that the market went to bid when it went risk on. It was the coin that the market was first to bid at the lows. Probably people had numerous different bags of Solana on chain. They dumped everything, moved it all into FARTCOIN. FARTCOIN was like the the winner of the kind of bear cycle or correctionary cycle or whatever you want to call it, the sell-off from in Q1. It was the winner out of that, so I would say winners are going to continue being winners. The mind share that FARTCOIN held is much higher than other coins, so if there's an opportunity, right, to buy this between 40 and 70, I'd probably be stacking some. Unfrozen now. Yeah, that's sad, guys. I'm sorry that it was frozen for so long. My mistake, my bad. You are doing predictions. You aren't using inductive reasoning. Interesting that you would think that when pretty much everything that I've been saying has been off the back of systematic thought process and game theory and high hit rate data that I've used over multiple years to navigate the markets. And I'm showing the results on the back end of saying, look, I've been saying this shit for months now. It's literally playing out like I've said. So I don't know why I'm getting hate today, but so be it. I'm not really sure what your point is and where I'm making predictions. I'm giving you if-then scenarios. If X occurs, I will respond with Y. That is how I always play the market. So how do I know if price is going to go up or down? I don't, but if price goes up, this is what I will do. If price goes down, this is what I will do. If price goes up and I attack the market in X way, but Y happens, I am wrong on that thesis, right? That is the way to think. It is not predictive reasoning. It's called game planning. Thoughts on ENA? Yeah, I can look in a minute. Are you a real doc turned into trader? Yeah, I've told the story 100 times. I went to med school, graduated med school, took my board exams, passed board exams, did not do residency because I wanted to be a trader. Spent all of 2022 pretty much going full-time. I'm pretty sure I've told the story on podcasts and other streams and stuff like that, so I'm not going to do it again and again. But yeah, that's the story. I wake up every day to hate nothing else going on in my life. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's people are hurting themselves, bro. They're living tough lives. They're in pain. They're hurting. And seeing other people succeed and do well and be happy and thrive and whatever, it pisses them off and they want to bring other people down. That's on them, though. You ain't gonna bring me down. All right, we'll get caught up with chat and then I'll move over to altcoin stuff because I see a lot of people asking. So I'll come back to these questions. I'm just skimming through here. A lot of these are altcoin looks. I'm new to the stream. Earned a sub, very good analyzed. Thank you. Can you analyze hype? Sure, in a few minutes. I'll do hype in a few minutes. I wasn't gonna skip that one. One of the few good looking alts with, I believe, good fundamentals, or that's what people tell me. I don't see it. I just look at it as a perp dex. What's your market outlook for Q2, Q3, Q4 in general for crypto quality alts like Sol, Sui, Hype, etc.? All right, let me get caught up with chat and then we'll just start going through tickers. What do you think of the whole tariff situation with China will resolve in the end? I have no idea, man. Game theory just tells me that a lot of times when it comes to stuff like this, people pander fear into markets to induce sell-offs, to basically manipulate markets. You know, that's like the low IQ, left curve game theory of markets is create FUD, nuke markets, inject liquidity, lower interest rates, pump markets after buying the dip, right? I don't know what the game is here, and I don't pretend to know macro. bull trap on Bitcoin. I don't think it's a bull trap. I think it's a break in structure on the weekly time frame. We've set a high. We've taken out the high that led to the low, right? You've taken out the high that led to the low. That's a market structure break on the weekly. What you want to do is look for a higher low. Calling things, I've said this on stream before, calling things a bull trap or a bear trap is just wasted vernacular. It's just a buzzword. It's people that, you know, love to say to get engagement. Whenever you're taking a trade, you're building a thesis off of why you think X should go higher. You have an invalidation on that thesis. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Who cares, right? Saying things like bull trap and bear trap don't make sense to me. Any new releases? Nillions? I think Nillions just went down only, man. Yeah, I don't really care. Think of POPCAT. So if I understand correctly, you were not expecting Bitcoin to rotate up to value area high at 100K. I mean, maybe you asked this question earlier, so you didn't hear what I said, but basically, if we accept above 94K or 95K, right? 95.5 is the exact level. If we accept above this, I think we can rotate up to 98K, right? 100K, you know, 98K, everyone's got a different line, everyone's got a different reasoning. This is my reasoning, and this would be the way that I would see it. How can I start with low time frame? Is there any educational content for it? Yeah, I mean, there's plenty, man. I've got plenty in Paragon. Magus got plenty in Paragon. I'm sure you could find free education from people online as well, but you know, the thing is with stuff like that is there's a lot of edge and nuance that comes into low time frame trading. Everyone's going to have a different system for it and a different setup and a different thing they look for. So, you know, depending on who you ask, you're going to get different types of outlooks, just like high time frame, right? Just like someone who trades EMAs versus someone who trades price action versus someone who trades ranges. There's going to be a lot of different education out there for you available to you, right? So basically just follow whoever that you vibe with or whoever systems that you vibe with, and then look to them for education. And there's a lot of stuff that's free out there too, right? Not everything I'm going to say is like paid, but I don't know. I think Magus would probably be the best guy to look for. If you go through his YouTube, I'm sure that he's got videos out there on like low time frame trading on the public YouTube. Gotcha. So things that take off like FARTCOIN we've missed essentially unless playing trend continuation. I would say yes, right? So let's go back and look at some previous examples. So 2023 when we marked up, right? Let me go back to Bitcoin. I'm going to give you guys a few examples. So 2023 when we're in this range right here, right? One of the best looking coins, maybe there's three of them. One was Caspa, one was INJ, one was Solana. These are all centralized exchange coins with perps, right? While Bitcoin was in this 7-8 month range, let's first go to INJ. Right here. So INJ had marked up. It's also going sideways. And then what did INJ start doing? It started breaking up, holding the weekly trend of support, started building bullish market structure, started holding daily, and it was in position to mark up when Bitcoin marked up, right? So it didn't really give you that opportunity unless you were buying here at the weekly trend. Solana, similar situation. I think it was already like kind of gearing up on the back end of it. Let me go back if I remember correctly. Yeah, so here's Solana, right? Already breaking out of this range of this crab, trading above the weekly, trading above the daily, marking up, right? So it's already gearing up to mark up when Bitcoin broke out. Another one was Caspa, one that I was like insanely bullish on and still have the timestamp from when I sold. But all summer I was like preaching about this one of the strongest looking coins, right? So again, while Bitcoin was crabbing, Caspa was just already trading up, already holding the weekly as support, already trading above the daily, already in bullish market structure, giving you the opportunity to buy the weekly again, and it just took off, right? Now we come back to last year. Here's Sui. Marked down at the lows, one of the strongest coins, right? Retook the daily, retook the weekly, went into bullish market structure, and the election was all the way over here, right? This was the election time. SUI had already taken back the point of breakdown. It already was in bullish market structure. So you had to play trend continuation. So once again, if you're expecting breakouts on Bitcoin, range breakouts, etc., coins that were already strong in the Bitcoin crab environment are probably going to be strong outside of it, right? They're probably going to be the ones that lead and not give you amazing, amazing opportunities to buy. So if FARTCOIN is one of those coins, then yeah, like any opportunity that you get, you need to like jump on, because understand that the rest of the market sees this too. It already sees this asset outperforming, and in crypto, because we're driven on hype, strength leads to more strength, right? People always chase kind of the winners. So this is one of the winners. So, you know, high time frame pullbacks you get on FARTCOIN are going to be ones that are going to be competitive. A lot of people are going to want to buy it. My understanding is that you expect Bitcoin to retrace the recent move to the upside and remain in an accumulation, correct? Why would we dip down to the accumulation range again? So I don't think Bitcoin is trending, right? I've said since December 9th, when we lost the daily trend up here, that we're probably going to range. When we opened up January, I started telling you guys about my range thesis. I said, if we can hold the weekly as support and reclaim the daily, we can continue this markup the same way that we did kind of January of last year. If we can hold the weekly, reclaim the daily, we can mark up again. What happened to start off February? We tagged the weekly. I was very bullish right here. We did not break the daily, and we entered and dropped below the weekly. So we're not trending on the high time frame. We're not holding the weekly as support. We're underneath the daily. Yes, we're squeezing above it. We're pushing above it. We're right at mid-range. I look at Bitcoin as a range-bound market on the daily time frame, going back all the way until like November, December. We've been trading in a range, right? So I'm trading this and treating this like a range. I'm not trading this and treating this like a high time frame uptrend. Therefore, range-bound kind of concepts come into play here, right? We're currently trading at mid-range. Do you want to hyper position or make directional bets at mid-range? In my opinion, no. This is not a place where you want to open up swing bets, either for shorts or for longs. If you want to be short biased, you want to do so at a premium. If you want to be long biased, I'm talking about swings here, you want to do so at a discount. Do you want to make extremely strong swing bets at the exact mid-range of this range? No. So myopically, or like trend continuation, I've given you guys my plans. I've probably failed to say this, but if we lose the 4-hour trend, that probably gives you an opportunity to gap down to the daily, right? So losing the 4-hour trend gives you the opportunity to gap down to the daily, which would be the top of that breaker that we talked about earlier in the stream. So they're not expectations, they're if-then plans. I want to be bullish from a swing basis coming out of a discount. I do not want to be bullish on a swing basis coming out of a premium, which is what allowed me to buy right here. Buying at a discount, putting in the thesis of, hey, we're front running the perfect retest here. We actually are showing relative strength. The S&P is correcting dramatically. Bitcoin is showing momentum loss. Bitcoin is able to hold these range lows. This is the opportunity for you to get involved, to buy in the face of FUD with slowing momentum, to fade the consensus narrative, which is we're going to draw lower, using the intangibles in between, saying momentum loss, relative strength, all of these things, front running prior ranges. This is where you want to be bullish at the top of this candle when everyone's panicking and going, I'm underexposed, I'm underexposed, I'm underexposed. Why would we pull back? It's just kind of natural. Like even in this scenario right here, right? We hadn't broken market structure with the exact same thing. We got momentum loss. We got a 3-tap. We set a higher low. We still got pullbacks before we broke out, right? So I'm just kind of betting on that same thing from here. What's your methodology on sizing? I could do a whole lecture on this to spare you on that. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to say keep 70% of your capital for high time frame swing trading spot on altcoins or majors, right? And trade with 10%. 10% of your capital should be, or 10% or less should be your active trading capital. and challenge yourself to say, can you do multiples on your trading portfolio? Can you double that trading account? If you're unable to do so, it's highly likely that your spot trading portfolio is outperforming your trading portfolio, which means that you should kind of just remove positioning or remove money from your trading account, keep adding it to your spot trading account if that's outperforming. Another thing with sizing that people get wrong, a lot of people say like, oh, I need to bet 1 R per trade. But what is 1 R? 1 R to everyone means something different. To some people, that means 1 R of the trading account. So like, let's say, for example, you have $100,000 in your trading account and you're betting 1 R per trade. That's all you're betting. Well, what is the point of having $100,000 in that account doing nothing? Why do you have $100,000 of capital sitting in that account if you're just betting 1 R? What is that 99K doing in there? It's just collecting dust. It's not being put to use. It's literally doing nothing if all you're betting is 1 R. So what you should be doing is reserving $90,000 for spot trading and swing trading, spot out of accumulation ranges for markups, and just keeping 10K in there, because how many trades you're going to have open at once? 10, right? So that's the amount of capital that you need. You can always bolster those defenses if you run out of capital. If you're losing a bunch of trades in a row, you can always add capital to the account. But what's the point of keeping $99,000 in cash in the trading account if you're only going to bet 1 R per trade, right? So keep that in mind. Make sure your capital is being put to good use at all times. So those are just quick tips. But yeah, I could do a whole bunch of like talks on sizing. I just kind of don't feel like doing like an hour on sizing. Thoughts on Bitcoin short term? Oh, actually, I missed some stuff. Bonk started following your thesis from a few weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, here's the beauty about this. Anyone who says anything about me, everything I do is fucking public and live on these streams. Like, you could just go back and rewatch the streams and I'll make it easy for you. They're timestamped. You could literally go back, click a timestamp, see what I said, go watch the next stream, click a timestamp, and see the updated thought process and see if like what I'm saying is actually playing out or not. You can fact check me. You don't need to do like this faith-based thing. You can literally go fact check everything I'm saying. But yeah, don't listen to the negatives. They're eager to hear it. Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Who you got winning the NBA this season? Bro, I don't know. I haven't followed the NBA in a long time. I watched probably my first 2 games in the last few years recently. So I'm kind of too out of tune to make predictions with that. All I know is I wouldn't be betting on the Thunder. I know they had like one of the best seasons ever this year. I just think that like teams that are inexperienced in the playoffs, even though you have like a phenomenal regular season, shouldn't mean that you're like a front runner to win the championship. So I think the hot take for me on the NBA season is that I would be expecting OKC to get upset at some point. Rather than predicting the winner, I'd say that I'm more comfortable predicting that OKC would get upset at some point. Still prefer backtesting this cycle rather than the previous one. 100%, Mike. So that's really good. So like I've said this a lot in my streams to you guys, is that if we're going to use if we're going to use data, why don't we use the most recent data, right? Versus using historical data that may not be relevant. The drivers for the 2013 cycle were different than the drivers for the 2017 cycle, which were different than the drivers of the 2021 cycle, which are different drivers this cycle. So let's focus on the meta that has been established this cycle. And what has been the meta? It's been Bitcoin marks up, Bitcoin ranges for 6 or 7 months. We get a narrative, a catalyst, a spark, we mark up again. Bitcoin ranges for 6, 7 months. We get a narrative, a catalyst, a spark, we mark up again. The highest likelihood for me is that we're going to range for 6 or 7 months again. I even literally have this line on my chart saying range breakout in July, which would be, I think, 8 months, right? About that, right? 7, 8, 9 months, which is kind of the median range right here. So whenever we get like a narrative or a catalyst or a spark or some speculation in markets to drive price higher, that's when I say that we're going to probably get a range breakout. Any Elliott wave traders in the chat? Is Jingo in here? He's your guy. Thanks, Jesse. Not a hater, but I might be stupid. All right, I already forgot what you said, bro. Don't worry about it. Appreciate the streams. How do you identify acceptance on low time frame, above or below level? I'll give you a little bit of alpha real quick. So anytime I want to look at acceptance, let's say this is a level. It doesn't matter if it's support or resistance. The two ways that I look to play continuation, let's say this is resistance, right? Number one, God candle through. Big candle, big close, and then less than 50% retrace, play trend continuation, right? That's number one. Number two, big level right here, and you have a trend carrying you, right? Let's call this the 1 hour trend or the 4 hour trend. This is how I play continuation. Two ways to mark invalidation. One is if you have an expansion candle and a breakout, you want people to come chase. You don't need a perfect retest. A perfect retest would be a sign of weakness. Number two, if you have an EMA or a trend or a VWAP or anything carrying you through that level, the trend is your invalidation. You don't need to worry so much about the level. That just adds confluence. One easy way to think about acceptance through or under a level. What do you think of BERA? Dude, I can't get caught up in chat. So many people ask questions about alts. I'll get to it in a minute. I misunderstood. I thought you had a range from 93 to 108 that we were accepted into. 93 to 108. Did I mark that out somewhere that I don't even remember? Oh, you're just talking about the top half, right? So we're at 93 right now. 108 is range high. I wouldn't call this. I just say we're just crabbing right now. We're literally at the yearly open. We're literally at mid-range. You view the whole 90. Yeah. That's exactly how I have it. You know, it's funny. Go back to like streams from February, right? I was already kind of proposing this idea to you guys all the way back here, is that this could be our potential range low. When we tagged this, you know, what is this? Friday, February 28th. You can go on Twitter and look at my tweets on this day, and that's the range that I proposed back then. Have you bought back spot or just perp trade Bitcoin at the moment? I bought back 10, so I put 10% of my capital back in the markets down here, which is, like I said, a hard place to hold. There was a lot of noise and everything at this moment. And I sold like most of it. I still have some left, but I took two TPs. I'm holding out, so I have the last lot, which I'll sell either at 2 points. Option A, if we get to 98K, that'll be the third sell. Or option B, we lose the 4 hour trend, in which case that would be my third sell. That's the only spot that I have. But I've just been intraday trading. So I've been basically an intraday trader since here, and if I'm being honest, I haven't been that active. Like, there's weeks that I take off. I went to Vegas last week, so like this is low-key kind of been vacation mode for me. Adjusting to Florida, new house, all this kind of stuff, and honestly, it's like, it's a relief, because as I've told you guys so many times, like, I've been grinding for years, so I'm like, I was tired, I was burnt out, and this is kind of my like recuperation phase. So yeah, while I say that I've been intraday trading every day, that's not entirely true. There's been weeks where I haven't traded, but as long as I'm nailing these big moves, like nailing this one right here, nailing this one right here, makes me happy. I'm happy with that. Do you still hold ETH spot? I have exactly 3 ETH right now. Let's say you had 10K in your wallet starting today. How would you work towards 10xing that? It's pretty close to what I started with. Not exactly, we're pretty close. Depends where we are. So like, the beautiful thing is, this is where alts are. I love using PEPE as a representation, because one of the best coins from this cycle, traded very well, marked up a lot, respects my system, trades in accumulation ranges, the whole lot, right? I love PEPE for giving examples. So what I would say is, if you had 10K in your account, find coins that are in accumulation ranges like this, right? Coins that had a markup, a markdown, and are ranging. The best coins are going to be coins that don't trade all the way back to the origin. So if the origin of this rally is down here, it's finding a range higher than the prior origin, right? The next thing you want to do, identify the accumulation range. The next thing you want to do is buy the bottom half of the accumulation range. Try to do this on coins that you think have the opportunity to at least do a 2x, if not a 3x, if not a 4x, right? That's where you want to find, you know, put the basis of your money. So out of that 10K, I would reserve like 9K for doing this. The 1K, maybe you can do 2K, whatever, you know, either 8 or 9 buying spot like this. The 1 or 2K, what I would do is be active, look for airdrop opportunities, farm new protocols. You know, there's so many airdrops that are available in crypto. Maybe if you know, half of participants are interested in perp trading, the other half are interested in trenching, figure out which guy you are and reserve that capital for either trenching or perp trading. And definitely farm airdrops. Airdrop farming is probably the most overlooked way to run up small accounts in crypto, man. Like, putting very little risk on the board and getting a $5,000 airdrop, a $2,000 airdrop, a $1,000 airdrop, like these are massive and can really help people out, especially early on. The more and more capital you build, the less it matters, but like early on, that thing is overlooked. Can I manage your trade as well? 100%, man. Send me your private keys in a DM and I got you. How long did it take you to double an account? My first one, I think like 3 or 4 months, 5 months, around that. So it was like here, it was this time. My first account double was here. It was like June to like November or something like that. It might have even been longer. So yeah, it was like from here to here or something like that. This was my first account double. However long this was. 4 months. 4.5 months, right? That's how long it took me. And I don't remember how many hundreds trades. I think it was like 200 trades or something in this time span to double that account. But yeah, this was the first time. My bet size, like I had to learn so much throughout my journey, but like my bet sizing was too small originally. You know, the example I gave you guys earlier of like, you know, why if you have $100,000 in an account and you're only betting 1 R per trade, what is the other 99K doing? Well, I had to learn that the hard way. I like did that myself. I was betting 1 R and then I was like, well, what the fuck is this rest of this capital doing? And then I made a smaller account, right? And that's how I went and built and stuff like that. Kind of gay to spend an hour talking about size. Facts. Outlook for Q2. Oh yeah, you asked this. Did I not? I think I answered this question already, Simran. Did you miss the answer? Could have sworn I answered this question. Basically, I mean, I answered it like throughout the whole entire stream. But yeah, without making predictions, I'm just waiting for a spark. Looking for bullish market structure, expecting pullbacks. Like, I don't know if it's going to be Q3, Q4, whatever. If I had to put gun to my head and predict, I'd say like Q3 will be bullish, not Q4. I think Q3 will be the bullish quarter if I had to put my gun to my head at this moment. Q2 won't be bullish, Q2 will be a range, Q3 will be bullish, and Q4 will be bearish. There we go. NBA sucks now. I kind of agree. I haven't liked the NBA in the past few years. I grew up watching the NBA. I was a stan. I was a big Phoenix Suns fan with the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns. Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Raja Bell. That was my crew, man. Barbosa. That was the NBA that I grew up in, man. I loved that time. If we're hoping to go back to alt range bottoms and looking to buy spot, do you suggest having multiple levels and orders to avoid getting front run buying too high? Let me give you an example, right? I'm going to use PEPE once again, right? So if I say PEPE is, you know, the coin that I want to buy, I'm just let's make some new levels. Let's get rid of some of these drawings. All right, to me, this is already looking like a clean range, right? So let's take this. Let's make something like this our range high. The high time frame range low ends up being our range low. Something like this. All I'm basically doing is setting alerts or paying attention or whatever to any time price drops below 77. Anything under here, I'm just going to start buying, right? And I'm going to keep my high time frame invalidation underneath these lows. And I'm going to say, basically, I talked to you guys about acceptance earlier today. If I see acceptance underneath these lows, then I'll be cutting the position because I don't want to hold something that could draw down even further, right? This looks like another little mini distribution into more drawdown. I don't want to do that. This is where I want to place my bets. I calculate my risk based on how much I'm willing to lose should I get invalidated. And I buy here. So however you want to execute is up to you. You want to place limit orders in here? Fine. You know, you want to market buy somewhere in here? Fine. You want to just wait randomly until it's somewhere in this position you want to buy one day? Fine. Like, however you want to execute is up to you. I don't think there's, you know, there's a benefit to it. Ideally, you just buy the range low if you get a third tap of this location, right? That doesn't have to happen though, right? And I think, like, let me give you an example of my execution on PEPE, right? Like, I missed this low. I was in Europe for the August 5th thing. I bought this pullback. I don't even remember where I executed in here, but I know I didn't catch this low. I know that. I bought somewhere in here. This pump happened. I remember feeling like, oh wait, am I underexposed? I got some in the pullback, and then I actually bought up here. This was my last purchase. So these were like my 4 PEPE purchases somewhere in here. There might have been one in here too. So I didn't catch the pico bottom of any of these moves, but I just wanted to make sure that I had enough size so that when these moves happened, I was happy. I was comfortable. Why do you suspect July is a markup? It's just that would be the time, 8 months into the range. You know, enough time has occurred to swap hands on Bitcoin. Why are the yearly, monthly, and weekly open highly respected by price? How do I explain this? Okay, so here's a candle, right? Right, here's the opening. A candle opens here. It trades higher, it trades lower. Right? Let's say it closes down here, wicks lower. Here's the candle for the week, right? If you, as a participant, right, looking at the weekly, and you're saying we're in a weekly uptrend, and I think we're going to go higher this week, right? So you mark out levels and you say this is where we're going to pull back. When the weekly opens, right, you're expecting continuation higher. Your bias for the week is higher. Therefore, if we draw down early in the week, the weekly candle is bearish, you're looking to execute here with the idea that the weekly will close green. So breaking and holding above the weekly open leads to momentum continuation, right? That's kind of the ideology that people that trade on daily open, weekly open, quarterly open, etc. This is the ideology that those traders use. So as a trader, it's a good idea to know how other traders are thinking, right? Even if you don't trade using EMAs, it's good to know how they're thinking. Even if you don't use ICT, it's good to know how they think, because at the end of the day, number go up, number go down is dictated by someone clicking a button and either clicking buy or sell. All of that is what's influencing price. So the thought process that other people use to dictate their execution ends up being valuable to you if you're trying to figure out up or down. So anyways, long story short, that's kind of my brief explanation of why people have these marked, right? They kind of make this thesis going into the week of, I expect the weekly candle to close up. So early in the week, if it trades down, they're trying to execute on whatever system they're using. Getting back above the weekly open and holding above the weekly open is their kind of confirmation or whatever that their thesis is correct, and they look to take profits at a premium. This is like ICT style trading again. Happy birthday. My birthday is not for multiple months. Did my boy hook you up in Vegas? Dude, you need to rephrase that. But yes. Yeah, Livid's got my back here. Whoa. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. 100%. So do you think that if Bitcoin loses 93.6 4-hour trend and there'll be no interest until 88K daily trend? I'm thinking 91.6. 91.6. Let's see what's at 91.6. Oh, you're thinking underneath this low. So definitely a trade to be had here. Running lows, but yeah, I mean, my classic trend continuation system is going to say 4-hour trend loss, we're going to gap down to the daily. So what you could be doing if you're interested in taking a trade here, and I'm not trying to influence your decision making because you should make your own decisions, especially if you have a trade thesis around this, you owe it to yourself to see that trade thesis out, not come in here, be influenced by my thoughts and then change your plan. If anything, stick to your plan and learn from it. If I'm right, maybe you can think about the way I'm thinking for future trades. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The way that I would see this is say, okay, maybe there's an interim bottom and maybe we put in a lower high, right? That's how I would be thinking about it. That would probably get 4-hour trend rejection and then end up filling this gap. If we wick down into this level and get a massive recovery, massive bounce, maybe you can play trend continuation to the upside. If on the way up, the 4-hour trend just starts going sideways and we start going like this, obviously this is building a little bit of a distribution, in which case the next high time frame markup is going to come from, hey, look, we built out a range in this location. We had a failed range breakdown. This actually tagged the daily. We reaccepted back into this value. We can look to play continuation of the other side or look for liquidity on the top side, maybe even mark up the 98K. This is how I make if-then plans. So number one, I would say trend loss means, like I said, the end of trend trading environment, the start of a range-bound trading environment or composite trading environment or liquidity trading environment, however you want to call it. And my bias would be high time frame continuation would come from the daily. That's how I'm looking at this. 3 ETH, that's like 90% of the portfolio. Facts, bro, facts. I have 90% in ETH right now. What'd you farm right now? I'm not up to date with the farms and stuff right now, man. I'm not the right guy to ask at this moment. How many X have you done on your starting capital? A lot, bro. I don't know how to say it humbly. 40X after taxes, accounting for taxes in 2023, 2024. Your life experience about your starting journey, probably the best relief to me at the moment. Hope no offense. Absolutely not, man. How are you gonna come into something new that's competitive and just be amazing in the beginning? That's not even a reasonable thought process. Yeah, you want to have big goals, dreams, and want to strive for better, but you know, thinking that you're gonna be the best after just starting is I don't think that's the right thought process. Give yourself time. That crew went toe-to-toe against Kobe and the Lakers. Yeah, man. I used to be a big Kobe hater growing up. I'm almost caught up with chat. I'm going to skip some stuff. Best swing setup for Hyperliquid. Those don't manage their own trades. Will have the market manage for them, 100%. Have to log off. All right, later, bro. Later. What's looking better, MOG or PEPE? I'll take a look. When you say daily, what do you mean? This trend right here. The 4-hourly 100, 4-hourly 200 EMA. The real flex is, yeah. All right, we're caught up in chat. Okay, guys, if you asked me to look at altcoins now you can put them in the chat. Now let's look at altcoins. Throw them my way. Let's look at some altcoins. Thank you guys for being patient and waiting for me to get through all of those. I know some people just want to hear about altcoins. Other people have other questions. I always find it fun when people have questions that aren't just look at this chart. That's more fun for me personally. I don't know about you guys, you know. You can give me feedback on what you find more fun. I personally think that just looking at charts for 2 hours is pretty boring because I've said this a bunch of times. I'm basically dedicating 2 or 3 minutes to one person and then go to 2-3 minutes to the next person, and everyone's kind of just waiting. All right, when is it my turn? When is he going to look at my coin? I don't care about this coin, right? So it's not really like fun for the entire class. It's just fun for like one person at a time. I'm going to start off myself. Let me talk about Solana. So my plans here, I want to be bullish Solana if I can get the daily trend. I'm already starting to see a trend loss here, right? So clean 4-hour trend. The basis that I told you guys with was Solana is reaccepting back in this 2024 composite value area low. It's trading above the daily. It's trading above the 4-hour. I would love a rotation from the daily to the weekly. We got that. When we got up to the weekly, I basically said the plus EV trade is over, right? Again, all of this is documented on Twitter. If you want to go fucking fact check, go for it. Be my guest. From here now, I would look for positioning off of the daily. If you're really lucky, you could possibly get it all the way down at range low. This would be the high EV bet on Solana. I think there's a trade to take here off the daily. Whether that pulls us higher, I think this would be the optimistic leg to look for, right? Entry, take profits. This would be the price leg that you're looking for on Solana at this moment. That's pretty much the Solana plans. If I look at high time frame, what's changed on this? Does this look like a high time frame trending environment anymore to you? I don't think so. This looks like a high time frame range bound environment. This is your bear market accumulation phase. This is your markup off the weekly trend. This is your pretty much taking all-time highs, and now you've lost the weekly trend that has carried you for this entire cycle. You've actually set a lower low on the weekly. Actually, that happened over here. This is the low that took you to the high. This is your weekly market structure break. This is your weekly trend loss. We've cleaned up a bunch of these lows. We've reaccepted back in value. This is a range-bound asset until proven otherwise. If we want to get a new high time frame trend, we're going to have to flip the weekly. The weekly has to point up. We'll hold this as support, and then we can make a new thesis on fresh all-time highs. That's the way I would look at Solana. Until these things play out, this is a range-bound asset, in my opinion. ETH? I think you're trolling. I think you're trolling. We'll skip ETH for a little bit. Shit, I'd hate Kobe 2 feet a game winner against my Suns. Yeah, man. Yeah. I used to say that Kobe would get fouls because you're breathing too close to him. That would piss me off the most back then, was you'd get so many touch fouls, but that's just superstar fouls. Everyone gets that nowadays. Former CT trio, PEPE with POPCAT. So we've already done PEPE a bunch. I think you guys know my thoughts there. I can just quickly look at PEPE. Again, same thesis as Solana. This was in a really clean high time frame uptrend. This set lower lows. This is the low. Actually, it's all the way up here. This is the low that's set to the high. This is a weekly market structure break. You want to look for an accumulation range. The thing about PEPE that I don't love is that it came all the way back down to these lows. It even traded underneath the low from last summer. That to me is pretty tough, right? That's a failed repricing. PEPE found balance. It found a balance between buyers and sellers. Underneath the weekly, this probably rejects. We probably range a little bit longer. When we flip the weekly, we can get back into a high time frame, possibly parabolic trending environment. Nothing more to say there. What did you say? Whiff? Did you actually say whiff? You did say whiff. I think whiff looks terrible. Like, brace yourself for this. Yeah, I think this looks terrible, man. I don't know what else to say other than whiff probably has to do this for a little bit longer before anything else, and whatever markup happens on whiff, it's probably going to end up being a lower high. If whiff gets another markup, I think the mind share is completely dissipated from this. If you want to bet on a Solana meme coin, you should probably bet on FARTCOIN and not whiff at this moment. In fact, I think, yeah, market cap wise, whiff is a higher market cap than whiff at this moment. POPCAT, I think POPCAT's the same case as whiff, right? Completely marked down. Again, tagging the bottom side of the weekly, probably going to be a bonk here. Down at range lows, a little bit more ranging. When you break above the weekly, you can probably get an expansionary environment. I would not be personally myself betting on new all-time highs on POPCAT. I would be expecting a lower high overall if this is going to mark up again. You'll have new coins to trade. You'll have new POPCATs to trade, in my opinion. Oh god, there's so many. Okay, there was a guy that was asking about NEIRO. I didn't forget. Let me look at the NEIRO thing. So he's in what I remember him saying, a short on NEIRO. Okay, now there's like 40 NEIROs. Which NEIRO was it? NEIRO ETH. And your short is at 64. Should I hold or close? So you shorted the bottom here. Yeah, I personally don't like this setup at all for a short. For me, this is not a good entry for a short. You're shorting into the 4-hour trend. Price is not giving you momentum to the downside. If anything, if you wanted to short this, you would look for maybe a run of these highs and then a breakdown below, reacceptance below, loss of 4-hour trend. Maybe there's a push up into this. That becomes your short trigger. And then you look to play the gap down to the daily. So for me personally, I would not be interested in shorts up here. So I don't think that's a good entry for a short. Can we look at MOG? BERA, Uni, MOG. I think, okay, so whatever I basically said on PEPE, on POPCAT, on WIF is probably going to apply for MOG too. Yeah, it's the same deal, right? Maybe you get one more push up higher into the weekly, but you're going to eventually run into supply. You're going to run into the weekly trend. You're going to just assume that this is going to be a little bit longer of an accumulation. BERA. We talked about BERA, I guess, recently. BERA hasn't even broke through the daily trend yet. So the first thing that's going to happen, we'll just start over. The first thing that's going to happen on BERA is you're going to have to take back the daily trend. If you take back the daily trend and this entire thing ends up being a deviation under this low, and we trade back into here, these pullbacks will be nice to defend. As it's in this structure, I'm not interested in this at all. I don't like this structure at all. This just looks like it's downtrending. It broke down from a range. It's still underneath the daily. We've looked at tons of coins that have broken above their daily. This is one of the weaker ones in the market at this point. I learn a lot when you go through charts. That's good. That's good. That's good. Hyperliquid. If you're betting on continuation, it's going to come from here. End of story. Look where it's trading. First of all, I look at this as resistance. This is the start of the weekly trend. This is your daily 100 EMA. Whoops. Betting on continuation on Hyperliquid should come from right here, right? Really clean SR level, prior resistance, flip to support, coming and trading back into it. This is your daily trend. If you're looking for continuation on Hype, like I said, yeah, it's going to come through the daily trend. Looking at this structure, 4-hour trend, super clean. I talked a lot about the bias always becomes 4-hour trend loss often leads to a gap fill to the daily. This kind of little bit of a shakeout here still led to a lower high, which eventually led to 4-hour trend loss. 4-hour trend became the dominant trend on the drawdown. Got a tag of the daily, broke above the high that led to the low. Right, here's the high that led to the low. There's your market structure break. This potentially becomes your higher low, right? So if you're betting on Hyperliquid here, you're betting on a higher low and you're looking for a higher high. That becomes the trade on Hyperliquid. Have you looked at ENA? I have not. I do think ENA has broken. Let's see how ENA looks. Yeah, kind of on ENA, you really need it to hold right here. Literally exactly where we're at. So we're trading at the daily, and we're trying our damnedest to kind of hold this breakdown level. In my opinion, this is kind of like a do or die moment for Athena. Either we hold here, confluence of support resistance, confluence of daily trend, and then you could try to bet on the gap fill completing here. I don't really know if it's there yet, though. It's more likely that it continues basing out a little bit. That's just kind of gut feel from looking at, you know, other coins across the market, the pumps and the bids that they got versus something like an Athena. But if you wanted to bet on continuation, it's coming from this exact location, in my opinion. Yeah, Kobe, Harden, SJ all get the touch fouls. Yeah. That's what made T-Max so impressive. He got all his points from heavily contested jumpers. Man, I don't really... If I have to think back, I didn't watch a lot of McGrady. Yeah, he was playing on the Magic when the Suns were running, and no, wait. He was playing on the Rockets with Yao Ming at the time. I don't remember watching a lot of McGrady when I was younger, if I'm being honest. I didn't watch a lot of Rockets games unless they were playing the Suns. We did Mog Virtuals. Oh, wow. Okay, so obviously much stronger. The cool thing about virtuals here, 4-hour trend, super clean. 4-hour trend held you from the daily to the weekly. You got the gap fill done. Holding the weekly immediately, which is impressive if I'm being honest. From here, all you're doing is betting on the 4-hour trend. When the 4-hour trend's lost, you're going to get a big, probably nasty-ass correction. But recovery looking pretty damn solid, right? This is a pretty nice ass recovery here on virtuals. Probably one of the stronger markets. The thing that is, I would say, bullish on something like this is it's kind of the bet on the AI agents on base, right? So you don't really have to pick a specific AI agent. You're just kind of betting on like the whole ecosystem here, which is probably why it's surviving and thriving better than individual coins, right? Easier bet for any type of investor to make is just saying, hey, the ecosystem that's carrying this narrative should be bullish. I'm just going to move my capital into something like a virtuals to bet on the entire thing. Looks pretty clean. I think dips into the 4-hour trend are for buying until proven otherwise. In general, do you think alts are primed for a big echo bubble type bounce? I think a lot of them, the next time Bitcoin goes risk on, are going to put in echo bubble type bounces. New alts will make new all-time highs. Some chosen alts may make new all-time highs too. Like, I think XRP is one of the few ones that looks good on high time frame. It didn't really break down. It held the weekly trend the entire time. It's holding this range low, big deviation under range lows, holding the weekly trend, holding this range lows. I wouldn't be surprised if XRP is going to be one of the markets that it's not going to make an echo bubble, but actually push the new all-time highs. What else? There's XRP, possibly SUI. SUI trading above the weekly, trading above the daily, taking out the point of breakdown, reclaiming range lows. One of the better coins out there. I don't know when this doodle's from, but if we get back into this position, which is what, 292, that's going to be a clear-cut, obvious buy. For now, trading on the 4-hour trend. If you want to play trend continuation, it's coming off the 4-hour trend. Grass. I think this coin has no bid whatsoever. I'm not going to be bullish on grass. Well, I'd see two possibilities to be bullish on grass. One, it continues just doing this. another couple months. If it's just doing this another couple months from now, I think it's very easy just to buy a bag of grass again, saying it never broke down, it's holding value, it built an accumulation range, I'm just going to pick up a bag. Number two is once, if and when it reclaims the listing anchored VWAP. I think that's going to be the origin for a big pump. A trade that I took in Q4 of 2023 was based off of the listing anchored, I think on Arbitrum right here. This was the exact moment. So let's put on the listing anchored. So check out when Arbitrum took back the listing anchored, crabbed underneath it. When it finally reclaimed it, that's when it went parabolic. So if you're betting on a big pump on grass down the line, even if you're late to this, just identify when it's starting to trade above the listing anchored. If it can hold above it and the trends are, you know, weekly at the bottom, daily above 4-hour highest, and it's trading above the listing anchored, that's going to give you your kind of parabolic rally. Those are the right conditions for it. So if you're late to that one, that's how you look at it. What's next? ONDO. Yeah, I mean, Doodle's already there. If this is going to enter a trending environment, you need to break above the weekly, put in this, or continue putting in this fresh bullish market structure. Otherwise, this is resistance, right? This is the weekly trend. I know there's a bunch of doodles here, so let's just get rid of them. This is resistance, right? The weekly trend is resistance. I don't think it's in a trending environment yet, but reclaiming the weekly and continuing this bullish market structure on the daily. If the daily trend gets above the weekly, that's going to be the right environment to cater to upside. For now, though, it's still just in a price action based environment where you're just going to want to be fading highs, fading lows. But yeah, I mean, the most bullish thing about ONDO, I'd say, it had a markup, drawdown, accumulation range, new highs, markdown, accumulation range, and you could argue that the current accumulation range is at least higher than this last one, right? So it did mark up just a little bit. It's holding a little bit more value where other coins either fully retraced back down to these lows or made even lower lows. So I think the high time frame context does not look bad whatsoever on ONDO. What if the weekly band is between the daily and the 4-hour? What if the weekly band is between the daily and the 4-hour? Well, losing the 4-hour, it depends. That's contextual, right? So if let's say this is the weekly, it's just kind of trading flat. I have a hard time picturing an environment where the weekly is here, the daily is here, and the 4-hour is here. That's going to be pretty difficult for price action. It's going to have to be like a really volatile move like this to do something like that. Because if the daily's like this, the 4-hour is going to have to basically move like that. In which case, if the weekly's flat, I wish I had an example rather than doing it like this, but if the weekly's flat and it's just trading sideways, I'd once again bet on the correction down to the daily. I also need to look at the chart. I need to look at support resistance levels. I don't really have like a, what are you gonna call it? Just this ABC kind of thing to tell you, right? It's too nuanced of a take to just kind of give you an ABC like this. Here's the classic. I do this at least once a stream. These are the EMAs that I use. When an asset is trending on the 4-hour trend like virtuals and every trader can literally see it and betting on the bounce on the trend, how can all of them win? Because not everyone is taking trades off the 4-hour trend. Some people are taking trades scalping. Some people are trading tick charts. Some people are trading high time frames. Some people are trading spots. Some people are shorting. Some people are trading liquidity. Not everyone's taking trades on the 4-hour trend. Not even everyone has it on their chart. Everyone trades in a different fashion. Not everyone executes either. So a lot of people can just see that it's trending, but price comes here, they don't execute. Price comes here, they don't execute, right? So at the end of the day, analysis is only like a small part of trading. It's like 10% of trading is analysis, 90% is execution. What is a listing anchored? It's this tool right here. It's anchored VWAP, and you can place it anywhere on the chart as you want. You could place it at all-time high, and it becomes the average price by volume, or factoring in volume from the all-time high point. You could put it at the listing, right? That's why I call it the listing anchored, because if you place it at the listing candle, it gives you the exact same VWAP, right? Looks pretty clean on ONDO. How to draw an SR level, and why does price have to respect them? It doesn't. It doesn't have to respect them. SRs are just places where initiation of momentum begins, or a lot of buyers come in and step in to protect certain levels. They sometimes are self-fulfilling prophecies. They are sometimes traps. Like anything else in trading, whether it's an EMA or a VWAP or an SR level or composite value, there's going to be nuance involved, right? So nothing is gospel. Nothing is like, by the law of God, but they're all just guides. All TA is just a guide. All indicators are just guides. It's up to you as the trader to make them a systematic edge for you. Do you think we missed the short already? On what? On Bitcoin? Depends on your time frame, depends on your thesis, etc. Right? On an intraday basis, it's one thing. On an intra-week basis, another thing. On a swing basis is another thing. All that matters is FARTCOIN. Yeah, I mean, we talked about FARTCOIN a lot already this stream, like a lot. I'm pretty sad. I missed my bids. I've had bids at 92 or 93 something down to 90. I got front one hardcore. Top 3 coins at the moment. Bitcoin, FARTCOIN, there is no number 3. Straight up, there is no number 3. Bitcoin, FARTCOIN. BONK is interesting because it has a new narrative with the BONK fun, right? But it is trading right at the daily 200, right? Massive sweep at the daily 200. This is resistance. I wouldn't be surprised if we got caught here. It's also high time frame mid-range, but it's interesting. I think it's something like this that has a brand new, fresh narrative could at least drive price moving forward, right? I think one of the few coins that has like a fresh bullish catalyst in it. So one to watch for. Not a lot of stuff in the market has narratives like that. Like I think Athena with like stablecoin regulation and stuff could be a proxy bid on stablecoins. It doesn't look that strong right now. PEPE, the thing that turned me off about PEPE was dropping all the way back down to these lows, so I'll have to watch it. Maybe I get it back into that. Solana used to be my baby. Solana and PEPE, both of these don't look that great on high time frame in my opinion. I think there's a lot of work to be done on these charts to repair them still. But the wombo combo that I've been trading for the past like 2 years has been Solana PEPE, Solana PEPE, Solana PEPE. So this time around, I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I'm gonna take the Solana PEPE trade again. We'll see. As of right now, I have no desire to take the Solana PEPE trade again, but things can change over the next few months. But right now, yeah, not super interested in those. Number 3, Sui. Honestly, that's not a bad bet. As far as the number 3 goes, Sui does look pretty damn good. It's always really fucking strong off these lows, huh? I was looking to position into Sui last time too, and it kind of did the exact same thing. Just like God candled up, formed a range around these values right here, and then just took off. So we'll have to see. I think the way to buy Sui at this moment is just kind of like time it based on Bitcoin. Look for a Bitcoin high or low. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, pick up a bag of Sui, right? It's probably going to outperform Bitcoin. You can look at the Sui BTC chart. I don't really often do this, but yeah. Pretty much just looks like the Sui chart, doesn't it? Not bad. Not amazing, not bad though. Same kind of situation. Trading above the daily, trading above the weekly. You're just kind of looking for a pullback. Ideally, I don't know if it's going to be this perfect, but oh my God, could you imagine if you could get all 3 of these? Weekly here, daily here, and a pullback into here? That would be unreal. How do you manage drawdowns, get over bad beats, size down, take a break, etc.? First thing you need to do is when you're feeling the pain of it is to not shy away from it, not run away from it, but actually journal that process. Journal what got you there, confront yourself, reflect, be honest with how much of that is your fault and how much of that was preventable and how much of that was unpreventable. You'll be shocked to recognize how much of that was within your control, right? And it'll make you a better trader going forward. The pain of that big drawdown is gonna teach you a lot of stuff. So make sure you don't shy away from it. So yeah, number 1 is reflect. Number 2 is go back to basics, right? So if you're a trader with an arsenal of, let's say 2 or 3 things that you do well, and you found yourself going out and doing 50 different things, you have to go back to basics and go back to just the 2 or 3 things that you do well. Rebuild your confidence, rebuild your stack. Don't do stuff that's, you find more difficult. Do the easy things, right? Whether that's just trading Bitcoin, just buying spot Bitcoin. Go back to those basics, rebuild the confidence. Remind yourself that you are good at X, Y, and Z, right? So this is... I think you could apply that to whatever situation you're in, but TLDR, number 1, don't shy away from it. Reflect, make sure that you come up with a plan and analyze what caused you to enter that big of a drawdown. How much of that was preventable, make a new game plan, and then go back to basics. I don't really have any advice as far as sizing goes. In fact, I would advise against sizing down. I know that's probably not the advice that a lot of people get or give. But to be honest, I don't believe in that because I think it puts you in this risk-adverse mindset where you're being too capital protective and you're being too discretionary with your sizing. Basically, if you're feeling good, you size big. If you're feeling bad, you size down. I don't think that's the right way to look at sizing. What is a liquidity sweep, Doc? I mean, it's a quick reaction in the opposite direction where price is failing to accept above a level. They're very useful on certain higher time frames to say that, are we getting acceptance or absorption? So anytime I want to describe the nuance between a deviation and liquidity sweep is if there's a high here, price traded all the way down, and we come back into this level and we get a lot of volume, a lot of absorption, maybe perp driven move, spot is selling, right? You're basically looking for signs of absorption above these highs that fails to get you a continuation. You're probably going to get a sharp counter reaction at these levels. This is a level where people love to take profits. There's a people love to fill shorts. There's going to be more volume at these levels a lot of the time. So you're looking for absorption. The difference is between a liquidity sweep and a deviation is in a deviation environment, you're actually getting continuation, right? Whether you get a God candle above or you get an EMA trading above it, eventually whatever led you into this breakout, whether it's an expansion candle or an EMA, that breaks down and you drop back below that level. This entire thing is failed acceptance, right? You tried to accept above a level, you failed to do so, you dropped back within value. This entire thing ends up being a deviation. There's a very clear-cut signal to trade to the opposite side of whatever range that you're trading within. But a liquidity sweep is more of a sharp reaction that indicates strong absorption. A deviation is failed acceptance, right? The driving party really tried to push outside this level, got trapped here, and ultimately they're being invalidated on multiple theses, and they have to now be fresh sellers. So these fresh sellers, as we deviate back in and they get deep and deep underwater, they end up adding fuel to the fire, right? They end up adding a lot of fuel to the fire to cause a big reaction in the opposite direction. A liquidity sweep doesn't always have to mean full reversal. A lot of liquidity sweeps are short-lived, right? They come back, maybe there's an EMA, and then you get continuation, you get another sweep. So that's the nuance between kind of a sweep and a deviation. What is your moving average setup? Scroll back in the stream a couple minutes. I wrote it up on my chart. Just rewind the stream. Have you charted FARTCOIN yet? Like 50 times during the stream, man. How do you deal with analysis paralysis? Simplify your system. If you have analysis paralysis, you're doing too many things. Simplify your thesis on high time frame on the weekly. Simplify your thesis on the daily. Simplify your thesis on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. If you have too many indicators on your charts and too many systems, you're going to get analysis paralysis because you're going to be getting contradicting signs. The EMA system is going to say one thing, the price action system is going to say another thing, the VWAP system is going to say this thing, the intraday trading system is going to say another thing. So stick with one. Honestly, prune. Remove a lot of that stuff. The simplest system is often the best. A simple system with patience and discipline is going to beat someone with 10 monitors and a fancy setup every time. How do you get comfortable shorting when your system is telling you the market is nearing a peak, but price keeps pushing up despite that? You need to have strong invalidations. Don't worry about shorting or longing, right? If you know you're comfortable taking the trade on the long side, but for some reason you can't take the trade on the short side because it's harder for you, just inverse your charts and take the exact same setup that you're mentally comfortable with taking on the long side. Number two, if your system is telling you to short, but you're getting invalidated, then your setup is invalidated, right? You're wrong on your idea, right? If you're saying, you know, this is going to be the high and we continue trading higher, right? You're just wrong on your thesis. It happens, right? You're wrong on your setup. No system has 100% accuracy. No system's going to be right 100% of the time. Setups are going to fail very often. Like I say all the time, the market is just a product of people buying and selling, right? Some people use certain systems, some people use the other. Sometimes you're going to feel like your system is the best because it's firing on all cylinders. Sometimes you're going to feel like your system sucks because people who are trading that market are not using that and they're not seeing the market the same way. Have you met Bleeker? No, I've never met Bleeker. I don't know where he's from. Hey, Charlie. Nice to see you in here, bro. Like the stream? Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you if you guys could hit the like. That'd be fucking awesome. Tia, do you actually want me to chart Tia, or is that a troll? Because I feel like that's a troll, so I'm just going to ignore that. CRV, did I miss it? I can do CRV. CRV's been looking pretty decent, I think. Where is this from? This is probably from a Paragon stream. Here, I'll just leave this on the screen. You guys can, maybe someone will vibe with that. Okay, so high time frame SR, we're driving right into it. Multiple drives. This is the daily chart, so multiple days rejecting this level. We're down at the daily. If you want to bet on continuation despite this, that bid is going to come from the daily trend, right? So you're going to want to see this continue holding to carry you through resistance, right? Let me give you a quick example. When we were breaking out last year, through range highs right here, it was kind of a similar situation, right? We were rejecting range highs, but we held the daily, right? The EMA, or the trend that carries you to the top of the range, needs to hold in order for you to get the breakout. It's one of the two ways of acceptance that I taught you guys about earlier in the stream. So now if we go back to CRV, if you're betting on this breaking out here, you're betting at the daily trend, right? That's the obvious signal for you. If we trade underneath this low right here, this low that led to this high, I would look at this as more of a range bound asset rather than a trending asset. How'd you get better with patience? By fucking up a lot, by recognizing that one of my biggest weaknesses in markets was being impatient. That was one of my biggest leaks, or biggest flaws as a trader, was being impatient for triggers, front running my ideas, front running my entries, front running my take profits, not having discipline in my ideas, being bored waiting for a setup, so taking setups that, you know, I didn't even plan on taking. Like, all of these fuck ups led me to be like, well, that's my problem. So is there a way for me to develop some discipline to just not do these stupid things that I know that are going to fuck me up, that statistically speaking have been continuing to fuck me up for months now? Can I have the discipline to remove that? And if the answer is yes, okay, then prove it and do it, right? That's it. So that's all it is, right? If you're overweight and you're fat and you're like, I want to lose weight, but every day you eat fucking chocolate, right? What's your problem? You know, the discipline, right? So how do you get better with patience? Is with discipline. Hey, Doc, stop feeding the plebs so we can do Monday meeting. It has been 2 hours, right? We have been streaming for 2 hours. 1 hour, 54 minutes. Yeah, we can call a stream there. I'll be done in a minute or two. See if I miss anything. And yeah, we can call a stream there. How about RWA coins? Well, we did ONDO. I don't even know off the top of my head what the other RWA coins is, but like, I gave you the analysis on ONDO. If you missed that one and you want to see, you can always go back in the stream, rewind, and find it, or you can just wait till tomorrow. Like I always say, everything in the stream is timestamped. You can always come back tomorrow and find exactly what you're looking for. A lot of times people come in throughout the stream and go, well, did you talk about this? Did you talk about that? And sometimes I repeat myself, and sometimes I remind you guys, hey, if you missed it, you can always just come back tomorrow, wait for the timestamps, and then watch exactly what you want my thoughts on. Only problem is you gotta wait a day. A lot of the fundamentals are growing. at CRV, the stablecoin narrative. Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, one of the better looking coins, speaking on this, as far as the market goes, right? Bottomed in March, has been in a bullish uptrend since, has reclaimed the daily, has been trading above the weekly. Last little checkpoint is right this level at like 68. Getting above 68, it's all going to begin from the daily trend. So if you're bullish, this is the idea and the location where you're going to want to be looking to position and to have longs at. But yeah, let's call the stream there. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I always love when people are, you know, on their arc of learning and ask good questions, and we have a good time together. And I personally think that's more fun than just looking at a bunch of charts. But if you're just here for the charts, you know, and you waited the first 90 minutes of the stream for me to just go through charts, that's pretty cool too. Thank you for having the patience to wait for that moment. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. The Bitcoin thoughts were all discussed earlier in the stream. The kind of game theory thoughts that I was giving you guys as far as the range thesis, all discussed at the top of the stream. And once again, I apologize for the screen being frozen. That was an OBS issue that I had to refresh, but I apologize for that. Forgive me, but I went through it again. Anyways, take care. Have fun. I'll see you guys next week.